This video will review the new 6100 control panel. Let's review a few key features of the ACS6100. The 6100 control panels use the ACS6000 MBE as the main controller. The 6100 control panel requires less wall space due to smaller sized door and I/O boards. The large chassis includes 2 power supplies, which can support up to 4 boards per power supply, supports Wiegand and OSDP readers, supports Brivo smart readers, can support up to 30 readers per panel system, can host communication via Ethernet, Wi-Fi, or even cellular if using the Brivo cellular module, and supports select wireless lock integrations as well. Here we have the ACS6100RE, the regular size chassis kit. The 6100RE comes with extra mounting holes that we can see on the left-hand example, which allows for more boards to be installed. The 6100RE comes with the 6000 MBE main board and a power supply board. It can also support up to 2 additional boards as seen here. The ACS6100LE is the large chassis kit. The 6100LE comes with a 6000 MBE main board, 2 power supply boards, and can support up to 6 additional boards as seen here. Note, both the regular and large chassis can fit more boards per chassis, as the new downstream boards are half the size. Let's review the kit contents of the ACS6100RE and the ACS6100LE. The RE is the regular size chassis, while the LE is the large size chassis. The RE and LE can both hold one ACS6000E controller board. The RE can also hold 2 additional expansion boards, while the LE can hold up to 6 expansion boards. The RE uses one ACS6100 power supply board, while the LE uses 2 ACS6100 power supply boards. The RE has one 14 amp hour battery or 2 7 amp hour batteries, while the LE has 2 14 amp hour batteries. The RE has one 120 VAC to 19 VDC wall transformer, while the LE has 2. The RE and LE come with updated CAN bus cables as well as the necessary battery cables. Both the RE and LE have an accessory package that contains items like standoffs and MOVs. As we can see here, the 6100R expansion chassis can support up to 4 boards, while the 6100L expansion chassis can support up to 8 boards. Here we can see the ACS6100 ADPL, the adapter plate. This adapter plate is not required for the 6100 or Altronics Trove chassis, but is required for all installs that utilize older chassis with the new 6100 boards. So if 6100 boards are going to be installed in an older chassis, you will need this adapter plate. To install, simply mount the plate to the chassis via the plate mounting points, and then mount the boards to the adapter plate via the board mounting points. Next we have the power supply board, the ACS6100 PSB. The 6100 PSB uses terminal blocks instead of Molex connectors and supports power for up to 4 boards. We'll review some more information on the significance of the powering of 4 boards later on in this training. Here is the input-output board, the ACS6100 I/O. The I/O board also has power termination blocks, tamper and board addressing dip switches, a CAN bus termination switch, and a CAN bus terminal block. For the dip switch positions, the first position is for tamper, and 2, 3, 4, and 5 are for board addressing. This board supports up to 8 input points and 8 output relays, 3 amps at 28 VDC. Let's review some of the differences between the 6100 and 6000 I/O boards. The 6100 I/O is nearly half the size of the 6000 I/O board. Uses terminal block power connectors instead of Molex power connectors, and uses dip switches for tamper and board addressing instead of jumpers. The 6100 also uses a switch instead of a jumper for CAN bus termination, and the terminal blocks on the 6100 are the same size as the MBE board. Next, we have the door board, the ACS6100 DB. The 6100 DB can support up to 2 Wiegand or OSDP readers. Here we can see the door 1 and 2 terminal blocks, the door 1 and 2 OSDP EOL switches, and the reader 1 and 2 terminal blocks. There's also the power terminal blocks, tamper and board addressing dip switches, the CAN bus termination switch, and the CAN bus terminal block. The 6100 door board supports up to 2 door position input points, 2 request to exit input points, and 4 auxiliary input points. The 6100 door board also supports 2 lock switching output relays and 2 auxiliary output relays, 3 amps at 28 VDC. Let's review the differences between the ACS6100 door board and the ACS6000 door board. The ACS6100 door board supports OSDP readers via auto-detect, while the 6000 door board does not support them at all. Auto-detect means that if a reader is wired in as Wiegand or OSDP, the 6100 door board will detect this and program itself accordingly. The 6100 can power readers up to 500 mA instead of 350, and also has 1 auxiliary output relay per door node instead of 2 per door node. The reason for less auxiliary output relays was to allow for more features to be added to the board instead. The rest of the differences are the same as the 6100 and 6000 I/O boards. The length of the board, the terminal block power connectors, dip switches for board addressing, CAN bus termination via switch, and the terminal blocks are now the same size as the MBE board. When adding the ACS6100 door board into Brivo On Air, be sure to select the correct door board in the board type dropdown. Here we can see more programming options for the 6100 door board in Brivo On Air. The biggest change to note is the auto detect option in the reader interface dropdown. The Brivo system will automatically know if the reader has been wired as Wiegand or OSDP. Here we can see a list of the new SKUs for the 6100 panels, accessories, kits, and bundles. One thing to note is because the 6100 chassis can hold more boards, the kit and bundle sizes are now larger. Here we can see the SKU descriptions for the 6100 RE, 6100 LE, door board, I/O board, power supply board, adapter plate, regular expansion chassis, and large expansion chassis. Let's review some information on the ACS6100 and ACS6000 SKUs. The release date for the 6100 series products is December 6th, and the 6100 series will be added to the new price book shortly after that. Remember, the 6000 SKUs will be removed with the exception of the 6000 MBE. The ACS6000 door boards and I/O boards are forward compatible with the new 61 series chassis for customers with existing inventory. However, remember that the ACS6000 door board does not support OSDP. The supply of existing ACS6000 accessories will have limited availability after December 6th until the warehouse stock is depleted. All new 6100 series documentation will be added to the Brivo.com Partner Resource Library and Partner Portal no later than December 6th. There are no 6100 series panels, kits, or bundles for BOSS or on-site. We currently don't have any bundles with the Signo readers because of the Signo shortage. Kit and bundle sizes have changed because we now have the ability to house more boards in the 6100 series chassis. The ACS6100 International Power Adapter with multiple snap-in plug styles has been delayed and will not be available for the December 6th launch of the new ACS6100 SKUs. We expect the international power adapters to be available towards the end of Q1 2022. In the interim for EU or elsewhere internationally, we have the following options. Use the current ACS6000 INT cabinet SKUs, which include the 36-watt international power adapter. Use the USA version of the ACS6100 cabinets, which have the USA plug version of the power adapter. Either remove the plug and wire in directly to a terminal strip, or use a plug adapter. Use a local source power adapter. Use the ACS300 instead of the ACS6100. All installs need to be installed as per Brivo's installation guide, as systems not properly installed cannot be supported by Brivo Tech Support. If installing boards into existing older chassis, keep in mind that one adapter plate, the 6100 ADPL, is required for each expansion board slot being utilized, and a replacement chassis, the 6100 LE, with 2 power supply boards, the 6100 PSB, will be required if more than 4 boards are going to be powered. This is due to the legacy chassis not having a provision for a second power supply board. Here are some examples of ACS6100 boards with a legacy chassis. After installing the adapter plate, a 5000 or 6000 legacy chassis can hold up to 2 6100 door boards, and the expansion chassis can hold up to 4 6100 door boards. Now let's review the 5008 and 6008 legacy chassis. The important thing to note here is that the 4 board limit is still applicable. So even though you have more space, you still cannot add more than 4 boards to these chassis. We can see this again in this example. It's important to remember that the reason legacy chassis can only hold 4 boards, even though the 6100 boards are smaller and provide more space, is because any more than 4 requires an additional power supply, no matter the combination of boards being used. Thank you for watching this training. Should you have any questions, please contact your regional sales representative or Brivo customer care.